405, the Don KTR.
We're going to try that one more time because I had you on mute.
Welcome
Okay.
to the Dev and Gamer Podcast with K Mega 405, the Don KTR.
All right. There we are. Okay. You know what? I like it. Every time my homegirls sit there and gives us a shout out, it sounds great. So, what's going on, everybody? The Dev and the Gamer is back. You know what? I kind of lose track of time because I guess maybe just because I'm old. So, but I would have swore that we did a podcast last week. Did we not?
Yeah, and I swear we had a commitment to do it every other week. Was I correct on that?
Yeah, I think so. So all of a sudden, I think that we're both old because we're having a podcast the next week after last week.
I think Phil didn't message us like you should have, right?
Right.
And just say, hey, can you say that for next week? Give us a heads up next time. But
right.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about this week, man.
Yeah. First off, we got to say, hey, man, hey, how about those Rams, baby? Let's go. Good win, baby. Good win. And so I do have a confession to make. I was late to the party because I was having a party at my house after the LA Rams beat the Cardinals thoroughly.
How many pizza bagels did you have?
Oh no, it wasn't no pizza bagels, man. It was some adult beverages.
Did you do the man salad, which is nachos? Nachos are the man salad.
Yeah. That was man salad for sure.
Man salad.
But we also had my wife wanted to stay up and watch some movies and hang out. And I'm like, all right. And then I caught myself playing Valhalla until about 5:30 in the morning. And then next thing you know, I wake up and then I wake up to insults because I go into the DM.
Insults.
And then I look and it's
people getting personal.
I wake up to just throw a shade at me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I always say Central Time is the Lord's time, right? And so they said, "Oh, I thought Central Time was the Lord's time."
Man, yeah, you're close to the Bible Belt. That makes sense.
Yeah, but how is it that you don't know the big news that's going on? I'm like, what big news? Because it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the day.
Did someone say the big man doesn't know about the big news? Is that what they're saying?
Right. So then I look and I say, and so I look up, just scroll up just a few, and then I see it, and I'm like, holy shit, no way. And lo and behold, I've been just kind of in a funk all day, just going through and just looking at information and just observing this and just read the chat. It has been absolutely lit, and it's
like
lit.
Finding out that Santa's real,
right? And it was so lit that even my wife and her coworkers got involved, and one of her coworkers' husbands got involved because they didn't believe it because the rumor it's not a rumor anymore, but that news got spread out because my wife sit there and told a coworker told some other people, and then it just came back, and then people were hitting her up, and then she said, I don't know, my husband just told me this stuff. And so then I guess they did investigations, and then it turned into a whole conversation. So that shows you how big this news is, because it's not like all you got to say is Call of Duty, and then that will get a lot of people's attention because people do know about that game. So I don't know, Don, how did you learn about this news?
What it was, I'm committed to, well, first off, before I go any further, Yobi, thanks for the sub. I appreciate that. I saw that. I don't want you to think you're being ignored or anything like that, but you have to let K Mega, when he's on a rant, you just have to let him go, man. You just have to let him go,
man.
Yeah.
Gotta let it go.
So that being said, I was looking at things to keep me entertained when I was doing editing for a video that's going to be on my channel literally tomorrow. And as I was looking to keep myself entertained, I got this, somebody that said Activision, Microsoft's buying Activision, and I just said bullshit. I'm like, who is this guy trying to get clicks? You know what I mean? That is the first thought that went through my head. So I'm like, well, got me to click on it. I'll see what he has to say, right? And then more. I'm like, okay, I have to go find the source. Like, I have to get, just go straight to Phil, right? I just went to Phil's Twitter feed. I saw that, and I'm like, that son of a bitch. You know, I mean, you know, like last week I was talking about Phil's greatest strength is his ability to purchase studios. That's not a hard,
Right.
It's not an easy thing to do. It's not just about money sometimes, right? And the fact that they've accepted his offer and they're kind of going through, it's kind of like, you know, making an offer on a house, you know what I mean? Like you make the offer and they have to go, but there's things going in between until the sale's final. And but you know, basically they accepted the offer, and I'm like, wow, and then so many thoughts went through my head how this must have gone down. Is it a good fit? You know, a lot of the things we talked about, you know, we're going to be talking about here on the podcast, and you know, my mind's racing in regards to all this sort of stuff, because you know I knew they were, you know, they're looking for the right buyers, but I mean I thought buying a actual publisher, that was like a one-time thing with Bethesda, right? And apparently I was wrong on that one, and I will always openly admit when I'm wrong, even when I never said it out loud. Right in the back of my head I was always thinking like that's a one-time thing with the publisher, and I was wrong, man. You know, more power to them. So
yeah, definitely more power to him, and more power to you with the Heathcliff hat. I'm
you like that? You're digging that? Yeah. I feel like I want to go oi. Oh
yeah. I'm just, you know, the first thing I just thought was Heathcliff. I was just like, Heathcliff, no one could. See, I don't want to get you copyrighted. So anyway, but yeah, no, I that's all right. That's pimping though. I like that, bro. I like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, no, it's definitely one of those things that just kind of throw you back. I thought the ZeniMax thing, you know, because I like Bethesda games, but I am not truly so invested in Bethesda games like that to kind of, you know, to try to know the impact until now, looking and seeing all the games that they've acquired and put in, and I see it on Game Pass and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, they got that game too. But this right here, just alone with Call of Duty, and then you also have all these other, then you got Candy Crush and all these other games. It just kind of threw me back. But anyway, we'll get into that here. So let's just start off right off the bat and let's just get into it and just talk about how did this happen. I want to get your thoughts, Don.
What's your thought?
No, I want to let you go first. I want to get your thoughts on how this happened, man. What kind of spawned this situation to get to this point to where Microsoft was just like, you know what? We're just going to buy the publisher.
Well, you know how Phil is. I get this picture like Phil kind of does the humble brag. He's got the money, right? He's always, you know, befriending all the developers out there, seeing what type of relationships they can expand on outside of just being a platform provider for anywhere from studios to publishers, right? And I just feel like that's kind of how Phil walks around. That's the reason why he's, you know, people criticize him for being a nice guy. People now starting to see why he's the nice guy, right? Like, because he wants to spark these, you know, conversations, right? And so, you know, I feel like he say, hey, I got the money, but without saying he's got the money, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like, hey, you know, that sort of thing. And, you know, I mean, he doesn't walk around like, I mean, seriously, he doesn't walk around with this, right? He walks around with one of these, like a money bag, right? The thing is, you make the deposits, right? Like he walks around with that, right? So people know. And obviously he's bought a bunch of different stuff. I think the big catalyst, you know, and I'm sure he's always asked the question ahead of time before all the turmoil that happened at Activision came to the forefront to the public eye. You know, I've talked to you about it years in advance. It's kind of a known issue, but you never really know, right? Because it's all rumor mill until, you know, and even to a degree now it's still rumor mill until, you know, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. So, you know, that's just kind of where it's at right now, and it's a hard position to be in. Like, I get it, but that finally hit what I've known for years, and I never would take a chance with Activision because of that. And I have been made offers to work for them, just to be clear. I never took up those offers because of all that sort of stuff happening. Now it becomes more public knowledge. You know, people are starting to talk about it. You know, the state's getting involved, And obviously that brought up some sort of meeting with the shareholders, right? What, Bobby, what's your, the current leader at Activision, what's your plan? And I think he pitched them on the idea that they can sell it to Microsoft. And he probably had a certain market value he thought that you can get from it. And when you have those big buyouts like that, guess who gets paid? Shareholders, right?
Shareholders, right.
And guess who gets a golden parachute? Bobby, right? So one more ride, right? So when people are when the shareholders said he's we feel like he's the right person for what we're going to be doing going forward, it seems a little more obvious now, right? In regards to that, now that it's in the public sphere, now they're ready to make the announcement. Now they're ready, because the timing was so quick, back to back to back to back to back. It was interesting how you even see Phil in the public sphere saying, well, we're going to reassess our relationship with them, right? Yeah, right. And that's corporate speak is for saying the littlest amount but saying everything, right? And what it is he's saying, hey, yeah, we're interested in buying you, but you have to clean up the shit, right? You know what I mean? And and what also is interesting, to put Sony on their back foot, where they have to say, oh, Phil's doing the nice guy thing, so we'll have to say something nice too, right? Not knowing what they probably have planned, if that makes any sense.
So you're already going, because we'll talk about the whole Sony situation here a little bit later, but so you're already in the camp of saying that Sony didn't know anything about this.
No.
Okay.
I think this is very few, maybe 2 or 3 people within the company.
Okay.
Here's the reason why I say that. They made the public announcement. So Bobby made the public announcement today, right? To the rest of Activision, and that went out to everybody within Activision and Blizzard. So they were brought up to speed at the same time you and I were. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
And Microsoft, unfortunately, has had a history of this stuff being leaked out beforehand, right? So there is, for order to keep it such hush-hush and where they're at, and no one really speculated anything while out in the zeitgeist of talking about this must have been a very small, the smallest of small group of people. Does that make sense? Like, so... No doubt. And the timing of the announcement was all planned, along with everything else, and everything being accepted. So yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think Sony had any idea. I mean, Sony knows Microsoft's buying stuff. They just don't know who they're buying, right? Or who they. And they, I'm sure Microsoft talks with like, hey, we'll think about it. We're open to talk about it, right? To anyone, any major developer that makes a good products, right? I'm sure they would have a similar conversation. Phil would have a similar conversation with people at EA or Ubisoft. And there was a lot of rumors about Ubisoft recently too, with them and relationships. So I think those rumors kind of come from the fact that Phil tries to have those conversations and always open to the idea of it, and then that way, if the opportunity presents itself, then they can take hold in regards to that. So. Yeah, I think honestly, Sony had no idea, and very few people at Activision knew, and maybe outside of shareholders, that sort of thing, because I'm sure Bobby pitched this idea to them ahead of time. I think that's kind of how that's kind of how that went down. To be honest with you, and you look at the number amount, it's that's a fat rat paycheck.
Pretty significant.
That's a fat rat paycheck, man. That is as I said, the money bag. They ain't no.
That made me grab my water.
They ain't no Ridge wallet, man. It's this thing, man. It's this thing. But but
man, you got to go to Scrooge McDuck's money bin to pull out that type of bread.
Yeah, man. I don't understand how that guy dived in coins, man. That must hurt.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I would dive in a thing of coins. I would come out messed up.
Well, we broke. You know what I'm saying?
Well, compared to him, I am
adapted to the yeah. So, but I agree with pretty much everything that you said. My thoughts of it is basically kind of from where you come from with the situation with the allegations, and then also because all the turmoil, and of course California going after them, suing them actually, and even
Yeah.
talking about going after them criminally,
Yeah.
because of all of the corruption that was going on within
Yeah,
Activision.
Bobby's going to get
So
that golden parachute, and he's going to leave the states.
and he's out.
He's
Out.
He's
Right.
going to be on some island, man. He's done.
Yeah, he's out of there. And see, that was the thing right there that like there was people asking these questions. Well, what kind of contractual obligations could there be if they sold? Maybe he wants to still have no. That when you're paying that lump sum of money, that's like, get the hell away from here. We don't want to see or hear from you ever again, money. That's what that was. And so,
well, there's a lot of rumors that this is where it's hard for me to substantiate, but there's leaks that he's already going to be gone. Not just speculation, but actual leaks.
There's information that's out there that's saying by June he'll be definitely gone. Now, of course, there's people that's trying to come out and make this kind of.
I doubt it'll be June.
It could be a lot earlier.
He's in place right now to make the deal finalized. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like, so he has to be there. Right. So that's why, like,
he's the owner. Yeah.
Yeah. When a lot of people like give shit like about, he gets to make out like a bandit. Yes, that's the byproduct of CEOs. Like that unfortunate truth of how much you hate or like the person, right? But the harsh reality is he's I think he's gone. I think he is only there to grease the skids on the deal, to finalize the deal, and then when the deal is finalized, he takes his bonus, and I'm sure he's out of there. I think that's what's going on in regards to that.
So yeah, but there was just too much heat going on, and then he was trying to be defiant, and then of course, like you said, the shareholders came to him, was like, "Look, man, this isn't looking good. This isn't going well. The public reaction is just not satisfying." And then, of course, maybe that there was one last hurrah, even though Call of Duty still was the number one selling game, but it was considerably down compared to previous
years.
And
so it's been actually on a downward trend. I didn't realize this. It's been on a downward trend in the last 3 years.
Well, no, it went up. It went up.
No.
With, Modern Warfare.
So no. It literally, like, every iteration has been a downward trend overall on overall sales on it's still been profitable. Okay. I'm not saying it hasn't been profitable. Those are two different conversations, right? But the year over year sort of thing. But that's what shareholders care about, right? Are you making more money for me this year, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, you made less money for me this year, right? And then this shit's happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and you got games canceled until so and so. You kind of get where all that's going.
Well, Diablo, the remake was an absolute disaster, and then like Activision has not been, and then of course Overwatch 2 has been in development hell. There's been a lot of things going on within Activision right now. And then of course you lost Bungie, so you lost that cash cow. So therefore it's like,
Bungie wasn't making money from them.
Oh, they weren't?
No, that's what a lot of people don't realize why they let him go, because Bungie was making money for them, but Bungie was not making money for Activision. However that deal was signed and whatever cut they got, it wasn't generating the income for what they were putting the upfront cost of developing.
What they're putting up.
And they have to hit. That's why they were pushing. They have all their other development teams help them out, stuff like that, to push out content a little bit more consistently, a little bit more often, and that it really wasn't worth their investment. Basically, I don't think they were totally losing money, but I think what it was is like, I can put that same amount of money into something else that gives me a greater return.
It's pretty much like what Square Enix does with like Tomb Raider or another game like Outriders. Like, the game made money, but again, it just didn't hit the threshold or
think if you have $1 million,
the dollar amount that they wanted out.
Well, think if you have $1 million, you spend $1 million to develop a product, and it only makes you say $2 or $3 million. But I can take that same $1 million and it can make me $10 million somewhere else. Where are you going to do that? Does that make sense?
Right. No.
So that's kind of the thought process. I think what's going on there.
But regardless, but Microsoft was this close to getting Bungie. Just to think about that, to put that in perspective, that's pretty crazy. But but no, even going forward, like,
Oh, you think
you know,
that's done?
no,
I would be. I wouldn't be
we're
surprised if
gonna
that
talk about
happens
it.
around the corner.
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
But I do think that, like you were saying, is that like there was just too much pressure. Then, of course, with everything else that was going on with them, with just the bad reputation for games that people were anticipating to come out, or that came out and didn't do well.
Yeah,
that also hurt. And then you just still got more turmoil. You got people that's over here protesting, protesting out there in front of your company and talking about the harassment and all of that. It's just not a good look. It just and people, COD sold amazingly well again, but it didn't meet the expectations. And on top of that, people haven't even really talked about Vanguard. So I think maybe what Bobby was doing was waiting, giving it one last hurrah, saying, all right, you know what? Let's just see if people will kind of overlook this, and it just come to show that, the momentum just wasn't on his side. When Phil made that comment, which you was alluding to earlier, I thought about that too, because I was like, well, what the hell can you do? Like what are you going to do? Spank his hand? The man owns the company. Well, let me spank my hand, because the man just went up there and just said, look, I'm going to go ahead and get, just take this off your hands. You can go ahead and get on out here, get on your big yacht and get the hell on. We'll take care of the rest. That's what makes this thing so shocking to me, is the fact that they went from, well, what can Microsoft, what can Phil Spencer do? What can Sony do? What can anybody do, to now, like, there's going to be a lot of people.
What can't they do?
What can't they do? Like, there's no that.
I will say this too. Bobby is there.
$69 billion. That is insane amount of money.
Well, I think we need to realize too is Bobby's there to be the fall man, right? So
right. Oh yeah.
Anything he has to reduce for studio overhead to make the books be correct are going to be on there. Anything he's got to do to just get any of this stuff kind of working properly in regards to that, any shitty employees, right? Like the employees that are the problem, right? Now he can get rid of them, right?
Get rid of them.
Because Phil doesn't have to do that work, right? Bobby's there to do that work. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so they can clean. The hope is they can clean up that all the bad actors.
Is it Bobby or is it Mikey Barra?
Well, you're getting a little ahead of what maybe be down the road.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay,
who would you put in there if it weren't Bobby?
Well, of course, we'll get to that.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense, right?
I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You're fine. Yeah. Go ahead and do your thing.
Well, no, that's just basically just the whole point of view. Is, I mean, we're on the same side of this. Something happened. You just went away.
I'm still here. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I was like, we're talking to Don's ghost of future.
No, we're good. We're good. I'm just gonna double check with the audience, make sure the audio is correct and all that sort of stuff, because I don't want to do the other thing we did earlier.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, so, I mean, that's pretty much it right there. I mean, I think that we both have the same reasoning behind it, is that was one of those things. Also, too, there was some more information that came out too. I think this came from Jeff Grubb, actually. Was that Sony was in the business of trying to just they already had Xbox on the ropes. So they were looking for this generation to destroy them completely, just to get them out. Just to get them out. So they came out and they basically were saying that, look, we got $700 million and we can put these on exclusive deals. And so, of course, the Starfield, the Deathloop, the Tokyo Ghostwire.
So they're using those. They were using those to branch to teen when they have their own exclusive titles to help promote their platform, basically.
Right, and then of course you got Call of Duty. That's always going to be your top seller at the end of the year. Really, there's really not too many games that can compete with that. And if Xbox is going to put out Halo and Forza, that's pretty much their biggest titles that can even compete in that stand. So once those are done, then we can go ahead and we can just kind of throw all these other exclusives out because that's what we want to do. And then, on top of that, then they're starting to push their stuff put their games on PC. They get a lot of momentum from that. Got a lot of press for that. And so listening to what that was being said, I'm kind of like, well, damn, you know what I'm saying? So Microsoft was probably at this point, well, Phil and them was looking at it, was like, you know what, the gloves are off now. We've been nice, but now these guys are actually trying to, we were wounded, and instead of trying to befriend us, they're trying to finish us. So let's go ahead and let's just show them what Microsoft can do when the checkbook is open. And I do agree with you 100% that uh Sony didn't know about this, but like we'll touch into that a little bit later. But yeah, no, I do think that those are two factors right there to kind of make that happen. But I think the overall factor was the fact that they needed that the whole situation within with all the controversy that hurt them the most, and that gave the opening for Activision to get acquired. And so let me make this last point too before we move on. Um, there's a lot of people out here that's trying to speculate and say, well, you know what, this deal could be stopped, by the government. And it can. I mean, if it's looked at as a monopoly, but
it's a total possibility. I mean, it's a big buy, but
it's a big buy. But the only way that could be stopped, it could be really, really two reasons. If they felt like it was a monopoly, if the government felt like that, I don't think the government really cares that much, especially with everything else that's going on right now within the government. And two is if the owner didn't really want to sell, and he's kind of been in conflict the whole time, and then other people were trying to push that narrative. But it seems like Bobby has been all in on wanting to get it done after whatever the reasons, after being convinced. And if he said it himself, and Phil Spencer is being very, very cautious after what's happened with the Scalebound thing, Crackdown 3 thing, on giving out information to anybody unless he is sure. So for him to post it, I don't see that there's any problem.
Well, I'm sure they had their lawyers look it over, dot the I's.
Yeah.
But there's always a possibility that someone will push to say, hey, this is you're not playing the game fairly. In regards to that, and that's a real thing. But then again, they allowed Disney to buy out Fox. So yeah. So I think they look at
Fox and someone else too.
I think they look at entertainment different than they, for example, Nvidia. Nvidia is being shut down for buying ARM, right? Which is a particular chip technology that's they would own every single chip technology essentially if they did that, and they would look at that as a monopoly. In regards to that, because there isn't another technology that can compete with that. Wipe probably water. So that's kind of how that would work out. With entertainment, I mean, people can leave Activision. Right. You know what I mean? Or when their contract's up, they can leave Activision. They can start their own thing. There's nothing stopping them from doing that, right? And there are other publishers that will publish their stuff. And you also got to think in the limelight, games is not just Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo anymore. Games are Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Amazon,
PC,
Stadia, which is Google thing, right? And whoever else is going to try and my take on it. Many will try, very few will succeed, right? But I mean, there are other platforms that are out there that are going to be doing their exact same thing, right? So, they have the money to burn. They have a business model. This makes sense for them. I think we can stop debating if Game Pass is working for them. I think it's very safe to say they're very happy where it's going, and they wouldn't be making these sort of moves if it weren't for that.
They posted numbers too. They posted numbers today too.
Yeah.
Over 25 million. And also this is another reason to not think that the government will step in here, because there's EA. that's still left. There's Take-Two, there's Nexon, there's Bandai Namco, which has a huge amount of studios under their belt. Embracer Group, who has way more studios under their belt than Microsoft. Netmarble, Ubisoft,
Yeah.
Konami, Square Enix, Capcom, Sega, and then you got Tencent, and you also got the
Well,
makers
after
of
this acquisition, that just makes them the third biggest, right? So it doesn't make them the biggest; it makes them the third biggest.
It makes them one. It makes them one of the. They're definitely in the top five.
In revenue, right?
Toy. Oh, in revenue,
yeah,
yes.
in revenue right now.
Also,
but
Toy is also a huge publisher too.
You know what's crazy though?
It's not a monopoly.
You give them a year, you know where they're going to be.
My God, they're going to, man.
Yeah, like they're going to be top. There's no doubt about it. You know, because like this stuff is starting to snowball, right? Like it's getting to the point. You know, like people can telling Phil, tease us about the future. Tease about the future. This is what happens when you don't tease about the future. You have moments like this. Here's what happens when you have E3.
Mm-hmm.
They have to use E3 to cover all of their damn games. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
And that's a great idea too, because look, once we found out that there was no E3, then I guess they kind of felt like, you know what, we can just go ahead and let this news out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like, I mean, because you know, everybody was kind of in a downer because there was going to be no E3. Then, you know, I seen there was a couple of jabs at E3 from some of these you know, bigger content creators out there. And then so you look at it now, it's like, okay, yeah, you know what? I understand. And then also Sony keeps making all these you know, they every time now, it's used to be reversed. Sony would make all these different type of every time there would be something that would go well for Xbox with the momentum wise. It's now reversed. Sony now is like getting all this love and praise. I mean, I posted when I was playing God of War on PC, and it hit big, and now all of a sudden nobody's talking about God of War on PC because this news just destroyed that. So Xbox is hitting on all cylinders this gen, and it's only a year and a few months. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine.
This generation has already been the heaviest hitting for any platform that I've ever seen. Like the biggest changes I've ever seen in the industry. In regards to it, like it's these are game changers. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
no doubt.
And I've joked around about this, and this is not a knock on Sony, but Sony is slowly turning into Nintendo. They won't change their business model. They'll stay. They've been staying in the same space for a while, right? And they have really good exclusives that people buy their platforms for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to have less and less that third-party option they used to have, right?
Oh,
and that's one of Nintendo's downfalls, right? Nintendo's downfall is they don't really, even though like the latest Switch has more support than ever, it's still nothing compared to what PlayStation is used to or what Xbox is used to as far as third-party support. So, I mean, that's just kind of how that stuff is. So, yeah. It's a very interesting situation going forward. And, you know, I don't think Sony's done either. I think.
Oh no.
I think they're waking up. I think they're waking up to what's going on. Yeah.
But to wake up, they have no choice in this matter. But okay, I know. We'll get to Sony right after this topic, and then we'll talk about everything else after that because we keep going back to Sony. So, yeah. Okay, so fit. How is the fit? Like, I mean, we look at this and we can already look at, like, you know, Call of Duty definitely is the fit because Call of Duty was once exclusively on Xbox. We're going back to the OG Xbox.
Was it exclusive on the first Xbox? I didn't know that.
Well, the old Call of Duties, I thought, because they were on PlayStation.
I knew they were extremely more popular on the 360 generation.
But I would have promised, like, once, and I could be wrong. So people in the chat, let me know. But I would have swore that at one particular time, not the Modern Warfares and things like that, but I'm talking about like the old World War II Call of Duties. It was on PlayStation. Then all of a sudden they stopped. You know, then they were on the Xbox. So if they weren't exclusive, then again, it goes back to the point of that they were just overly successful on just the Xbox because that's the shooter platform. But let's talk about the other games that they have, like they acquired. Is this a good fit for them? What do you think?
This is where I'm torn. In regards to it's there's no doubt that Activision is a very successful publisher, right? Like that's not the question, right? The question is, are you shoving a square peg into a round hole, right? And will these two work well with one another? My concern is they do have to clean up house. There is
Right.
a mess within there, and when you're buying these studios, essentially, you're buying a publisher that has studios. Essentially, when you're buying a studio, you're buying the subculture within that studio. And I feel like the subculture within Activision is kind of a power-hungry crowd, right? And then they start getting full of themselves and start doing bullshit, right? And so let's say you get rid of the person that did some of the bullshit, right? You do it professionally. It's behind the scenes. It's usually how all that stuff goes, right? You're pulled aside and say, hey, we're dissolving your position, whatever it may be. Then you have the issue of that power vacuum is someone else going to fulfill that position. If there's somebody hired internally, what's going to keep them, because they're raised in that environment of being power hungry, repeating the same mistakes? And that's where my concern is within Activision. Because, they've been top of their game. They've sold really well. And it's usually in that space, we're all humans. And, sometimes you have to fight those urges. And those urges are just one of those things that I think Microsoft's going to have to deal with. Like, that's going to be a huge challenge. This is going to be, whoever's going to oversee directly over Activision and all the studios, this is the challenge that you're faced. You have to change the culture within these studios. And that's a tall order to ask. I know Phil's got his heart in the right place. I honestly think people from Xbox going over there still have their heart in the same place as Phil. But man, I don't even know how you tackle that, because that's their biggest challenge. That's their biggest issue. They have to clean up the bullshit that's there, and then they have to make sure that it doesn't fester back up like a cancer within the companies. You know what I mean? It's right. And that's, how do you do that? There's no college course for that shit. There's not a college course for, hey, how do you get rid of assholes you work with, right? That are ruining your company, and how do you destroy the culture within that company so people don't repeat the same mistakes, because that's usually how this stuff kind of goes. And
well, you got to clean house.
Yeah, you do. It's rough, but who? You mean, like, here's someone else that doesn't have any offense, but you put them in that position, then they end up being an asshole, right? Like that's the concern.
Well, this is the difference, because look, I think, and now I think we can just kind of address it. I think Mikey Barra can play that role. I mean, he's shown plenty of times that he can be a leader. There was a lot of times that a lot of people felt that he had more of a stronger voice than Phil Spencer at times, especially during the Xbox One years.
He had a very more opinionated voice, for sure.
Yeah, he was very more opinionated, and he said what he had to say. He, if he wanted to say something positive about PlayStation, when that really wasn't popular to a lot of Xbox fans while he worked for Xbox, that's just kind of like his demeanor. But he got that type of leadership quality. And it seems like it's honest and genuine. So I think, once he gets on board, and then, of course, this is going to be a long process. I don't think this is really going to start really kicking in until probably sometime next year.
But you agree it's not easy, though.
No, absolutely not.
You agree, like sometimes just alt control delete these people is not going to necessarily solve the problems, right? Like
right. No, what you've got to try to do is the first thing you're going to try to do is have to hope to scare them off by trying to talk about the policies within your company, and like, look, we will enforce them to the umpteenth degree. And so hopefully that will scare a couple of them away, because they know that they can't just go to the former bosses or whoever and say, look, man, like I can't have you back this time. It's under new management. These people are strict as hell.
Yeah.
That might scare some people off. Other things, they're just going to have to go through damn near, and I understand it's a huge, huge company, but they're going to have to go through, have enough people, just kind of like what they did with, with the argument with the whole California.
They have to go through all those complaints. Like
go through all those complaints.
Yeah.
Listen to them. talk to these individuals and then make a determination like that. So that's why I'm saying, like, this next whole year, they should be able to kind of iron out at least 70%, 80% of the bad apples and get them out of there. Because there'll be some people that'll lie their ass off just to maintain to stay. So there'll always be a bad apple regardless. But I think that's if they just gonna have to just clean house, restart.
Well, and the problem is when people talk about the problems with Activision is not just the leadership. I mean, it happens with leadership. Like, I get that they're part of the equation, but the majority of
the people underneath.
Majority of the offenders are the mid-level employees. Most of these complaints are about mid-level employees, right? That's what all these laws, were why California is stepping up, right? So, that being said, how do you clean up these mid-level employees, right? Like, it's an issue in regards to, and people I know that still work at Activision, they can't get jobs at other places. They've been trying to get out of there, right? And there's people that I have that have helped me get into the industry. I've helped them, and if they ask me for a job, I don't know if I would hire them because I don't know if they're part of the bullshit or not. You know what I mean? Because they work over at Activision. Like, you have a stink about you when you work there. So it's rough. Like, I want to have empathy, but at the same token, I have to look out for myself, right?
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know how you handle the situation as a whole over there. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. We'll see what happens in regards to that. There's no doubt there's talented people there. There's no doubt there's beloved franchises there. And just it's so weird to think about, like, things like Crash Bandicoot is now an Xbox property. Can you imagine?
It's bizarre.
Can you imagine talking to your childhood self, right? Back when it was Sega, Nintendo, and Sony coming out, and Sony had Crash Bandicoot, and somebody time traveled back to your childhood self. Your adult self just talk to your childhood self and say, "Hey, man, guess what? There's going to be this thing called an Xbox. Done by Microsoft, in this Crash Bandicoot game that's the hot shit right now. It's gonna be owned by Microsoft."
Right.
You would try to get that person locked into a padded cell, man. They're like,
man, this game, man, everybody loved Crash Bandicoot, man. Like, no, like that is like just like Sonic. Nobody would have believed that Sonic would have been on every platform out there known to man. Like, no, that is Sega's blue hero. What are you talking about? Yeah, no, it is bonkers.
I mean, you look at all the games that the properties they own. Like, it's almost like how do you even challenge this? Like, you have so many IPs now. You have so many, like, I don't even know now.
Well, I'm going to give you a list of a couple of them right here.
Yeah.
All right, so some of the franchises right here. You got Call of Duty, of course, Crash Bandicoot, Geometry Wars, Guitar Hero, King's Quest, Pitfall, Space Quest, Skylanders, Spyro, Tony Hawk, and True Crimes. That's just a small.
That's just Activision. That's a small sample of Activision shit. Didn't they also own that? It was done by the same people who do like Bloodborne and all that sort of stuff. What was that?
Yeah,
game?
Sekiro.
Sekiro. They own Sekiro.
No, they don't own it. From Software owns that IP, but Activision
was the publisher. Okay, gotcha.
Right. So which that was a question that I asked, and of course there was a couple of people that wanted to. No, they could just take it and go somewhere. Well, and then I'm like, well, hold on, wait a minute. This is relationships is different. Like, From Software is not going to get upset.
From Software doesn't have necessarily the publishing rights of the first one, but they can take the second one wherever they want because they own the IP, right? So, so a lot of, depending on what's contractually there for the first one, they might be able to do stuff. Does that make sense? Kind of like Mass Effect, right? Mass Effect 1 was originally owned by Microsoft. They sold it to EA, right? Well, EA was able to do whatever they want with the second one and the third one, right? But in order to get the first one, they had to get permission from Xbox to publish on PlayStation. So it's very
okay,
much
so
it's very much
okay.
like that. So just whoever owns the rights, but when you have a title, the publishing rights are owned by that person. And so, like, let's say Activision wanted to put Sekiro on Stadia. Well, if it was in the contract that they can do that from software, so From Software can't say anything. They can just port it over. Does that make sense?
Right, like
Yeah,
that was one of the questions that I was asking. It was like, well, we understand that From Software owns Sekiro, owns the rights to Sekiro, but that could also mean that, like, since now Microsoft owns Activision, that they could put Sekiro in Game Pass.
Oh yeah.
And right.
Depends.
So
It depends on what the contractual agreement was prior to that.
Right.
Because Activision couldn't just do whatever they want with Sekiro unless it was in the contract, right? So, so they could have been open-ended. Hey, we can put on whatever platform we want, or it could have been, hey, it's just these platforms, that sort of thing, or we're responsible for these platforms, and whatever it may be going forward. So, every contract's a little different, so you got to pump the brakes on that. But on the sequel, if From Software owns the rights to that, they can do whatever the hell they want. They can go to Sony. They can go to Sony and say, "Hey, will you publish our next game?" They can go to Microsoft and say, "Will you publish our next game directly?" Who cares about the Activision thing? Like, we can do it directly. They can go to Amazon if they wanted to. They can go to Google Stadia. They can do whoever they want. They can go to Tencent. They can go to Epic. It doesn't really matter. On the
and they got a lot of leverage because the game won Game of the Year. It's high, it's highly renowned. So they got the leverage, and I knew that part. But one of the things I was trying to say was because I was asked a question at first, somebody was trying to tell me, well, they could just do what they want to, and they'll probably just take it somewhere else. But I'm like, well, listen, if From Software and Microsoft has a good relationship. I mean, there are titles that From Software had exclusive on the 360 and on the OG Xbox. A Togi was one of them.
Well, or there could have been a contractual agreement that it was not just one; it was multiple titles. That's a possibility.
Right.
We don't know what it is.
Exactly.
You got to be careful about it, right? It can go either way, but the key thing is they own the rights to it. So depending on what that original contractual agreement goes from there, which I think kind of segues into where this stuff is going to go. People are going to say, what Microsoft's going to do with these products. And my take is very identical to Bethesda, which ended up being exactly true, right? Which was whatever contractual agreements they're going to have, they're going to follow through with those contractual agreements, and whatever is continuous going forward is going to be exclusive on Xbox platforms.
Well, you know what? Let me go ahead and read some more of these games, and then we'll get back into that. So, okay, so Call of Duty, we know, right? Okay, Sekiro is From Software, but it is published by Activision. That's a Crash Bandicoot. Tony Hawk. Like, I mean, will they bring back Tony Hawk? I mean, was there a reason why they did this? I mean, like, some of these things might be known a lot longer than what we can even imagine.
Well, they said they saw their future portfolio, and that was part of the buying decision.
Oh, okay.
So whatever whatever Activision had in the works, Microsoft wanted all those things.
Okay, all right. So then there's Spyro. Of course, there's Prototype. I loved Prototype. So
is that side-scrolling shooter little?
No, it's kind of like.
I'm thinking R-Type. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're thinking of R-Type. No, Prototype was with the first one was with the white guy. The second one had the black guy, but they had like some kind of alien arm, but it was a 3D game, and it kind of reminded you of Infamous.
It was kind of open world-ish, and it was like you had something attached to you, kind of like Venom.
Yeah.
I remember what you're talking about there. Right. Yeah.
Okay, and Blur. I did not know that Blur was that was a cool ass racer. I don't know. You played Blur, I'm pretty sure, Don.
Yeah, I've fallen out of love with Arcade Racer, so I haven't been following along with it. I mean, I know, like, for example, Need for Speed is kind of like the Call of Duty of racers. Like, it always does well, and people don't realize it. Yeah. Like, low-key wise, it always does well, so.
Yeah, I always usually support it. But this last Need for Speed was really good. I did
But
like that one. Okay.
but yeah, I've been out of touch outside of like the ones like Need for Speed. Like if you mentioned Blur, I'm like I don't know which one that is. You know.
Okay.
Just haven't followed.
Pitfall. Now, I want to have a theory with the Pitfall thing. Well, I'll just say it right now.
You talking about Nathan Drake before Nathan Drake was a thing?
Yeah, and if something doesn't happen in the future where maybe Crystal Dynamics doesn't drop in their lap, maybe they can bring Pitfall back as their, I don't know, as their protagonist. DJ Hero, Gun. I don't know if you ever played Gun. That game was pretty damn dope. Singularity, which was a pretty cool game. Marvel Alliance. I did not know that they had Marvel Alliance either. Now, that could be something that would be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But now, of course, that's something you got to work with Disney. And of course, now, you would have to probably see if you will probably never get a Spider-Man on there.
Well, and this is one of the reasons why also, when you always kind of push for Microsoft to do Disney properties, sign a deal with Disney, do like a Black Panther or whatever it may be, right? Like, a game. And I keep saying, no. Keep it in the industry. And this is what creates these opportunities. Does that make sense? So like, you sign that deal with Disney, you may sell some units or get people to subscribe to Game Pass, but guess what ends up happening? You're not pocketing any of that cash, right? And so you're putting yourself on the back foot where you can actually own other things or own other studios or produce more products. So yeah, they definitely have their eye on the ball. So I'm glad they don't do the Disney thing, but who knows if there's a previous contract? We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. There's Deadpool, Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch is a bigger one than people realize now.
Huge. World of Warcraft. And then like there's these games from what is it? Viventi Games. And I mean, there's just tons of those too. Like, and there were a lot of smaller titles.
The cell phone world's huge for them. Like they make so much money in the cell phone world. It's insane.
They made Lord of the Rings. Just the Dark Age of Camelot. The Bruce Lee games. I don't know if you ever played those, but like, I mean,
it's been a while.
It's been a minute, but. There's a lot of properties. We understand that the bigger properties that they have available for them, that they have going forward. But do you think will they kind of change the format of with Call of Duty? Now we've heard different type of scenarios that that Call of Duty could be exclusive. The story game and like the regular game mode can be exclusive on Xbox. But Warzone is going to be free to play for everybody. Do you think that that's a good plan? Or do you think that Xbox just go ahead and just let everybody get a hold of Call of Duty?
Well, I don't.
So they can make that double income.
Well, they're not going to take anything off a platform, right? Like, I don't think they're doing that. Like, in the sense, like, okay, these Call of Duties are on PlayStation. They're not going to remove them from the PlayStation Store. It's just going forward, I don't think they're going to put them on PlayStation.
Oh, okay. Say that again.
So, for example, they have the war zones out there right now for Call of Duty.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, they're not going to take it off the PlayStation Store. They're going to leave it there. Does that make sense? Like it's not going to be removed from there. But the next Warzone not going to be on that platform.
You don't think that they'll put war? You don't think
after the deal's done? No.
Oh, come on, no, man. That you don't think that they would? Well, I mean,
anything that's a continuous product will. Like, for example, if you think about like Minecraft, right? Minecraft's been on everything, and it's a continuous game. It's not something that you just add more to it, and you're more or less a steward of it. You don't really. There's no Minecraft 2, for example, right? It's this Minecraft that never ends, the never-ending story of games.
Well, Warzone is continuous. It's a free to play. Yeah,
kinda. So if they come with a whole new map and a whole new gun set and a whole new everything, it's a whole new game, right? So they don't have to release it on that platform. I don't think it's an obligation they have to do. I mean, I'm just being real about it. I know it seems
No,
brutal,
no,
and
no,
it seems like
no.
I'm not
It
trying.
does sound brutal.
I'm not making.
It doesn't sound brutal.
I'm not making fun of Sony or anything like that. I think this is just what's going to happen.
It does sound brutal.
And people go, well, why would they? Here, a lot of people will assume that Microsoft won't make that money back. You know how easy it is in the Microsoft ecosystem? You can stream.
Yeah.
You have PC. You're not walled off on the Microsoft ecosystem. If you want to own a console, that's your prerogative, right? If you want to stream, that's your prerogative. Right. Oh no, you have to say if you're one of those people who have to spend X number of dollars for a new console. Guess what? Game Pass is pretty damn cheap afterwards. Yeah. So you pay upfront costs and it's cheap afterwards. It's hard to complain about that, right? Like that's kind of where I think Phil is at. They're not trying to. They're trying to grow their properties and grow their platform as a whole, but what they're not trying to do is, they're not going to just break any existing contracts. So they have an existing contract. I think, honestly, even if they have marketing deals, they'll let the marketing deals go until all that expires.
Until they're done. Oh, yeah.
So, like, if Sony had some exclusive gun bullshit or something like that, like, I'm sure that will go through. I don't think that will won't happen, right? But it just be on Game Pass day one, right? Like, or
Well, no, afterwards, after the contract, but you're right.
Yeah, but you get where I'm kind of going with that. So, and then none of that stuff will take place until the deal's final, right? It's not final; they just accepted the offer. So, so when the ink's actually dry, and they said. The rumor is early 2023, first quarter of 2023. Everything will go down. Understandable. Then what will tend to happen after? So we're in 23 calendar year. If there's not a contract, it's going on only on Microsoft's platform.
Woo! So okay, all right. I mean,
it's the same. It's same as the Bethesda deal. Like people.
You're right. You're right. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not even going to dispute it. I'm just like. That's crazy. Now, the other reason too is why I was
like, for example,
that they would. Well, hold on.
Think like we've been another example to add to it, right? So Candy Crush, right? They're not going to just take it off cell phones tomorrow.
No,
right? They're not going to do that. They already have they already have a product. It's a continuous product that they continue to add to. Game, but it's not a sequel. That's what I'm saying. Like, so it will just stay on everything, right? So anything that's currently a continuous product will still continue to be a continuous product. It will be all the existing platforms you currently have today. Anything that's a continuous contract will have to be fulfilled first, right? But once those things have expired, or in the sense of a sequel or a sense of just a whole new product, it's going to be exclusive to Microsoft's platforms, whatever platform of your choice from them. So,
right. So that's why I wanted to make this scenario was that. This is the reason why I mean, they could definitely do that, and from what they did with Bethesda, like with the games that they got coming down the pike, especially like with Redfall and Starfield, they're exclusive. What my thought would be was that to kind of stick it to Sony a little bit. It's kind of like, okay, we'll let Call of Duty come over there, and. What we'll do though is that it's going to be day one on Game Pass, and we'll charge $60 while you have to charge your PlayStation gamer $70.
I don't even think that's going to happen. I don't.
So
I think it's.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, okay, because Sony. Okay, that's the whole thing, and I'm trying to. Now, I understand that you say that ain't going to happen, but if they do that, then that's kind of like the stipulations. Like, no, y'all was over here selling the game for $70, so go ahead, sell it for $70. We're going to sell it for $60 over here. Sony can't do shit about it. They just got to sit there and they just got to eat it while people will leave them in droves by going over there and saying, look, now,
I think that's
don't
just,
make any sense anymore.
Yeah, well, that's going to happen. I think Sony's going to adjust their prices down the road regardless. I think that's going to happen, right? But I don't
think so. No, I don't think they are.
I think it's hurting them. Soon as we get to a point where console manufacturers can't put a console, they can put a console on the shelf and it stays on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
That particular element is going to become very real to them, or when they're not selling games, right? Their game sales are down in comparison to their competitor that has them free on their Game Pass service, right? Like stuff like that will change Sony's pricing.
Oh yeah.
So the market will determine that. And I think that's just kind of a crash course. Eventually we'll end there. So I don't even think that's going to be an issue, but I don't think they're even going to bother. Like it's so easy to get on Xbox's platform. Like,
no, it is. I mean, that's
you have one of these. You have one of these.
Xbox. Yeah.
You have one of these. You can play Xbox games.
Oh man.
I mean, am I wrong?
Let's not also.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Everyone's got an Xbox in their damn pocket.
Right.
All they need to do, I mean, this is a custom controller, of course, but they need this and this. They're good to go.
Man.
That's all they need. And if they want to play in a console platform, they can do that. Guess what? How much does it cost for them to get a console? $300. Not $500.
Not $400 or $500. No.
Yep. And if you want to get, the monolith, you can get the monolith. Oh wait, you already got a PC that you had to, buy for school, right? Got an Xbox. Oh wait, your PC's not powerful to play it. Same thing as this.
Just go ahead and put
the accessibility on their platform is such a low barrier of entry. And then once you're on their platform, paying for things like Game Pass is such a low barrier of entry. Right? You start taking these casual gamers that that may skip half the generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're on board day one. Someone goes, man, I really want to do that Call of Duty, but I didn't want to buy a new console. Hey, guess what? You can play it right now.
And don't forget that there's going to be apps on television. I mean, we saw this new Samsungs.
Yeah, so there's going to be that too. But then
right.
Then you go, okay, well, it doesn't really quite play the same as on the console. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
This will do you until you buy your console, right? It's a gateway. It's a gateway to other things. So yeah, that's just the kind of the harsh reality is like Microsoft's in a position to take care of their customers without being a jerk about it. Like they're not being a jerk. They're just saying, hey, we float the money, right? And we've talked about how I think Microsoft's ahead of Sony going into this generation because of backwards compatibility, right?
Right.
Yeah, backwards and forwards compatibility. Streaming services being part of it in PC. That's the playground they have, right? And that playground is much bigger than any of their competitors. That's just the harsh reality. And
it is. It is. I mean, but look, Sony has definitely got Spartacus coming. I don't think Sony is going to be put in a position. But
I've said I've decided for whatever they're going to do in that space, right?
Right.
Yeah. And I'm still am.
But I got another point.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. So with the Call of Duty franchise, it's annual. Would there be a possibility because of Warzone is its own entity, and because a lot of people are playing, I think we've had this discussion the other night, that there's a lot of people playing on Warzone than they are playing on the other older modes on Call of Duty. Could Xbox kind of put a Call of Duty on ice for 2 to 3 years to let it to build up a better engine, to just do new different things, and then make it come back to be maybe annual again once they have everything set up? Or do you think that they'll just still keep it rolling the way that it is? I personally think Xbox, knowing that Warzone is meal ticket, I think that they might.
I don't think they're going to rock the boat, but they're going to have some plans down the road on something like that.
Yeah.
I think honestly too, like, do you have to put things on ice? You got so many resources now. Like, people forget like the talent they have under their umbrella.
Right.
Right. And people forget, like, Matt Booty's like, they talk to the person that's doing the Call of Duty franchise, right? Whatever studio that's doing. It's like, man, I really want to do this, but we're going to turn out the same thing again. But there's, I would love to have this feature, and I really think this would evolve the franchise. Like, well, Matt Booty's job is to say, what resources do you need? What do you need help with? Because he knows other people at the other studios. They know where they're at via timeline, all that sort of stuff. So you have a situation where you can build all those things out that normally would take several years of putting something on ice, right? And now you don't have to. Or you put it on ice for a year. A year, that's it. And then boom, you're back, and you're back to the races again. in regards to that. So that it's tricky, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, what is Microsoft's E3 gonna be like? Like Phil doesn't want to talk anything more than 6 to year out. I think he's gonna have to stick to 6 months. Because he has so much stuff to talk about now.
34 studios, and then whatever that those studios are working on once this deal gets. I mean, because you still already got Bethesda stuff.
Well, and then all of the Bethesda exclusive stuff,
right?
It's going to be going over to Xbox's platform by then.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's
whatever new thing they have. And I honestly think Fable is closer to being done than people think it is. I wouldn't be surprised we see Fable this year.
I don't think that. No, because Starfield is the flagship. Now, we've had this conversation too. I know that you think that maybe Starfield could get pushed. I
honestly think that that the game that I'm mentioning, Fable, is much further along.
You could be right.
I would be shocked if they start pushing games back because they have it done in just not a good window. I mean, maybe they'll get to that space. Maybe they will.
I think they're already there. That's why I think that they looked at Redfall and it was like, okay, Redfall is not ready yet. Go ahead and push it back. We good. We still got plenty of stuff that we can put in that space to nullify for Redfall not dropping. Todd Howard said that said it himself that he was going to put it on that date of this year. So I don't see that that's getting pushed. That's the flagship for Xbox this year, from my standpoint. If Fable is ready, then Fable gets dropped in the beginning of the year.
Did he run into other weird things? What happens if you get even DLC for Halo this year?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Halo's DLC is supposed to be slated to come this year.
As far as I'm hearing too, that it's exactly that we're going to get it before holiday. I don't know if it's true or not. Like that's the thing. It's like I'm not putting too much stock in it, but because it's done when it's done. But I mean, if that's true, like what the hell? It's not even about money. It's not even about money. It's about time.
Right. It's about time. I don't have the time. That's what we were trying to tell people beforehand. I'm like, once these studios start cranking out these games, it's going to be so much content. And on top of the fact that they're going to have these Game Pass deals rolling in on top of you too, you're not even going to have time to turn on any other consoles. You know what I'm saying? Because unless it's just that big title that you just gotta play on PlayStation or you just gotta play on Nintendo. But if you're a person that plays on Xbox and there are titles that they drop, especially even those one games that you've seen, you're like, man, I want to try it, but I ain't spent the money on it. But but now you see it in Game Pass, like it is just a no-brainer on top of the new stuff. It's boy, the ride is going to be incredible. And then there's also one other title, old classic legacy title too, that Activision owns that I am really stoked for and would love if Microsoft would bring that back, and that's Tenchu.
Yeah,
they own Tenchu, and so I'm like, damn.
Yeah, so. I saw that on the list when I was doing homework on older stuff, but like they have. They have so much. I mean, like say like Activision, under the Activision umbrella, they don't want to do Tenchu, but Microsoft owns the IP, right? Let's say somebody else wants to do it. Let's say the Coalition wants to do Tenchu. You know what I mean? Like they can do that,
or Ninja Theory,
imagine Ninja Theory working. Oh, that would be mind blowing. Like but seriously, like. These are the possibilities that are floating around. These are the conversations that have been happening behind the scenes, I'm sure, of what they want to do. And so the future. Well, and here's what's even more exciting, right? Sony is going to double down on what they do best, right? Which is their exclusive properties. They're going to go even harder now because of this.
Right. That's where I was going.
And their shit's going to get better.
Sony and what they're going to do.
I think their shit's going to get. I mean, it's not bad. It's going to get even better. And that's the exciting part. I think gamers kind of look at basically putting Xbox and PlayStation gamers against one another. No, this benefits everybody, right? Because who wants your dollar? Sony, Guess who wants your dollar? Xbox, right? And so because of these sort of things, it really is. It's pushing. Sony's pushing Xbox to make better products, better deals. They're pushing them to buy these things. They're pushing to add more value to their product. Everything you're seeing on Xbox is, Microsoft doing it in their own way, but what started the fire was Sony in some ways, right? And, and Microsoft doing these things, it's starting to probably definitely an internal fire within Sony too. They're like, okay, shit, how much money we got in the bank? What are we gonna do? And I guarantee you, certain studios are getting higher budgets right now. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you those conversations are happening this week, that certain studios that they already own are getting higher budgets. And then they're trying to think of, where they best invest that money into either a new studio or buying another smaller studio they have a good relationship with.
I think that they're gonna go ahead and lock down Final Fantasy now, without a doubt. And maybe Persona. So
you're saying they're gonna go for asking price? They're no longer going to negotiate. They're just going to, what do you want?
What do you want? What needs to be done? And maybe even take it as far as if, like, maybe we not purchase all of Square Enix, but purchase that whole Final Fantasy franchise. And then just go from there, and then probably talk to Sega about just maybe a couple of Sega franchises over there with Persona being included. And then just trying to just say, look, we'll just, whatever you want, we got you. But I definitely know that I feel it in my gut that they that Sony is going to bring some fire with something from Japan. Now, I mean, they could try to go after a Western studio. Now, another thing that would be very interesting, if, let's say, Sony tried to go and entice Bungie to come over, and they could be their flagship shooter, shooter franchise that they need.
I mean, it's definitely a possibility, but
right.
But you know who has a really strong relationship right now with Bungie?
Microsoft.
Phil. The man himself. No doubt. Right? Like, the man himself loves that franchise.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, that man plays that game. He plays that game all the time.
And that game, just to be clear, is built on an older engine of a modified version of the Halo engine, right?
Yeah.
Guess what Slip Space is? A modified version of the Halo engine. They went different directions, right? In way they developed the product, right? But is the Slip Space engine possibly in the works with the new Destiny? It's possible. These are the type of deals you leverage, right?
Right.
We'll let you use that. Oh, you're having financial problems trying to get everything up and going. Oh, what you're trying to do? Well, how can we help? Right? You start building those relationships, and they know you have this wallet, right? They know you have that wallet, and all Phil wants is that conversation.
That's it.
You just want
it. Let's
just have a talk.
Yeah.
Phil, this is just lunch. Why would you having a steak dinner? Don't worry about it. I got you. I got you. So, and it's not to say that Sony wouldn't be happy to have them. There's no doubt about that, right?
Oh, right.
But it's just like Sony's probably got a strong relationship with a lot of Japanese company. You're going to have a strong relationship with, even if things went a little bit awry with Destiny, or with Bungie and Microsoft in the past, right? But they've both grown up a bit, right? Like Microsoft's not the same company it was back then, nor is Bungie.
No.
Bungie has changed as well. So, I think more to your point, there's going to be more of these studios more walled off in these different ecosystems. And what gamers are going to be left with is the choice of what ecosystem do I go to, right? What offers the value for my time? Because the reality, I don't, even if you're unemployed, I don't think you can hit all these games. you just don't have the time to hit all of them. So the question, what is going to give you the most value for your time? In your money, right? And so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting, and I don't think Sony's gonna rest on their laurels. I think when we're talking about the excitement of these changes in the industry, people know us as playing on Xbox's platform, but it doesn't mean it's a dead end for Sony. I think Sony will become more like Nintendo, less of those third-party relationships. Well, I mean, they'll still have plenty of third-party relationships, right?
Yeah,
But things that used to
yeah.
be third-party are no longer third-party
Oh,
anymore.
no longer third party. Yeah.
Right. So now they're exclusive. So it kind of gives you a little bit of that Nintendo feel, right? Like you buy in their platform, you get their exclusives, and slightly lesser what used to be third party. And it gives you the little bit of Nintendo feel. And it's not a knock on Nintendo, it's just what their platform is, right? And I just really...
Well, now I'm hearing a lot of rumblings that Nintendo is really in play about putting their very first Nintendo game on PC. And it's supposed to be Mario. Now, I don't know. I don't know how accurate that is, but if the one thing that what makes me feel that that could be a possibility is because they hate emulators. Nintendo and Sony, they hate them to death, but especially Nintendo, they do not like anybody messing with their products, and they can't make money off of it. So I look at that's how I look at it from that standpoint. That
I've heard that rumor too.
That rumor could be true.
I've heard that rumor too, and you and I have different resources, so there could be some validity to that. Well, then again, I'm not going to hold my breath on it.
Right? No, I mean,
Nintendo being on PC is my dream, right? So I'm initially going to, because I've always said this before. I love Nintendo products, Nintendo's franchises. Not a huge fan of their hardware. Like, that's just the harsh reality. I've fallen out of love with their hardware. So if I can play it on my PC and have slightly better settings, have the native resolution for the screens I have displayed on, I'm not interested in playing portable. I'm interested in sitting in front of my television and having that experience.
Right,
I'm all about it. Like, I'm not against that at all. And day one I will buy it. Day one. I don't even care if it doesn't even have his patches in. I'll buy it, right? Like, what I mean? That sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, if that ends up panning out, like,
that would be huge.
Yeah, it's really good.
That'd be huge. All right, so last point with that, and then we're going to move on. But I do so this is the one thing that I look at it for Sony and like Sony's going to be fine, but Sony did take a hit when it came from now with this Spartacus, because if there's one thing that they could advertise is the Call of Duty being a part of their service, because they market it. Now they can do that this year, but they can't do it next year at all.
Nope.
So that's gone.
Unless there's some weird contractual agreement that we're not aware of, that it was multiple years. Right. Because Microsoft had multi-year deals with Call of Duties in the past, so there's a possibility that they wanted that cash.
I think once Sony got the marketing, that was it. Anything that probably was after that seemed like that was dead in the water, because it was so quick. Like, remember I told you, like, my son would do those MLG tournaments, and then and then all of a sudden, once they found out that they found out while they were playing that Sony got the marketing rights, and then they still tried to play through the PlayStation. Everything got changed, everything, and so that's what it kind of clustered. It kind of messed up everything, and so the team had to get busted up, because other people were like, yeah, no, I don't mind playing on PlayStation, but I play better on the Xbox. So
the controllers are different. Like, and people don't realize that. Like, but analog stick layout is the most sensitive thing you're dealing with there. So people that are accustomed to a PlayStation controller, they're not going to do as well at that level on an Xbox controller, or vice versa. I mean, that's just kind of the harsh reality of all that stuff. So
and just think about this. Getting Call of Duty, that's not only going to help, it's huge already, has its own ecosystem, Evo tournaments and everything. But I also think that that's going to lift up Gears, that's going to lift up Halo, and that's going to lift up Overwatch, which Overwatch is already significantly huge. So I think that will help every other shooter that Xbox has going forward because of COD.
Well, I mean, add to that, right? Like, okay, let's say you get Overwatch on track, right? Overwatch is on schedule because it had some issues. Let's say it becomes the thing that you always wanted to. Well, what happens when you have what was that one game that came out by Ninja Theory that was out of nowhere that you liked a lot? Bleeding Edge.
Bleeding Edge?
Yeah. Once the Overwatch guys say, "Hey man, we'll help you out with Bleeding Edge now." Right? And so they feed into one another, right? They're helping each other out. They're not, you know what I mean? And here's the other thing, like that's the thing. There were some games that I was interested in there, and some franchises I'm interested, but not all of them. And it's the same thing here with Activision. I'm not interested in all of them, but that's the point, right? It's meant about having a diverse portfolio. I mean, everyone thinks of Call of Duty, everyone knows of Call of Duty, but they have other products that are very successful on different things. And there's also some weird talk about the metaverse stuff. That's all weird, but you know, as far as being gamers go, they know what Activision's all about. So I mean, are you ready for another acquisition this year if it happens?
Yeah, no, that was.
I don't know if I can handle it, man.
You know what? I do not. I don't know. This is my thing with this. Is that I still think that there's one more. There's one more left.
Big one or big
there
one?
Could be possibly two. Big one. And because I posted this on Twitter today. I said WB Games is the girl that got away, but she still takes your texts even though she's with someone else. And I think that Microsoft or just Xbox is just waiting for the discovery to say, look, you know what, we like this, but this isn't what we'll keep some of this, but the rest of this stuff, nah, we all right. You know what I'm saying? That's my thought with it.
You're saying if they can get the purchase without the baggage.
Right.
Because like, I say the baggage is some of the franchises that are tied to, right? Which is, you know, DC Universe shit, right? Like, you know, they don't make a lot of money on that. You know, DC does because they own the property, right? But they won't own the property. They would have to pay out for that sort of stuff. So if they can get the studios without the properties, I think that's a great deal.
I think now the money situation is not even a factor because just think about the money that they're getting from Minecraft, from Roblox, from Call of Duty now. Well, when that happens, Call of Duty, Candy Crush, and just they're going to make tons of money off of Halo. They're going to still make tons of money off of Forza. And then whatever else that I can't even think of right now, that's going to be games that's going to be continuous that goes on that they can make money off of, you know, through, and then the Game Pass service as well. They'll have so much money that
I think they look at money differently than how you're looking at it. I think they're looking at money.
You might be right.
Yeah, I think how they look at how I view Microsoft and how they look at money is they don't mind spending the money. They want to get the return on the money so that money can be reinvested again. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so it's the problem.
I'm over just counteracting for the DC situation.
The problem with the DC stuff is the majority of the money is going back to DC, where that money can be going towards hiring more people for the studio, building their own IP, or building out their IPs that they currently have. Right. That's the problem with the WB deal. Right. Is that, you know, those, and it's weird to say because, like, obviously Batman's a huge franchise, you know, and anything under DC, Superman, you know, you just name anything that's under that umbrella. But I just don't think that there's a lot of value in that for somebody like Microsoft. Like, there's value in the studios, absolute gold mine in the studios. There's value in getting people over to their Game Pass and all other stuff, but that overhead paying towards DC, I think that's the baggage. I think that's the only thing that prevented it from happening. If it was something under a contract.
Remember, we went into this discussion and we're just going to still disagree on it. But I felt that when the whole thing where the previous president wanted Microsoft to get invested into TikTok kind of set things back to a point to where, like, okay, let's just hold off. Because remember, that was the studio they were going after first. And then, or not so much first because they already had the, deal with Bethesda or ZeniMax already done, but they were going after WB, remember? And then all of a sudden talks got out. Now, our difference is between, you're saying that the TikTok thing had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I think that it somewhat did. But
I mean, even if they bought TikTok is incredibly profitable. Crazy profitable in weird ways.
But aren't you glad that they didn't even mess with that?
No,
because that would have been a whole can of worms.
Well, yeah, no, I'm glad they didn't mess with it, but I don't think it would have affected the deal. I don't think the deal. I mean, if I was Microsoft, I wouldn't want to own I wouldn't want to have all the baggage with DC.
Bag.
It's
Oh,
bad.
oh, you talk about
Yeah, it's just baggage, right? Like that's what it is. It's like, okay, I have to make all these Batman games. I have to do all, and people love those games. They love those games, but from a business side of things, it's just baggage, in regards to that. And every studio that works on that stuff is freaking phenomenal, in regards to that. So I just don't know, and that's the thing is like paying. I'd say the same thing with the Disney stuff, right? Like paying out Disney is expensive. Getting a Star Wars franchise is expensive. It's not really that worth it, to be honest with you. There's a very high risk that comes along with that. And the same thing with like, anything in the Marvel franchise world. It's hard to, once those people get their cut, man, like to own the IP. That's why IP ownership is so sought after, right? And so important in building out IP in regards to that. So for example, like say Microsoft builds their own superhero game, whatever it may be, from scratch, their own character, right? Well, they get to sell all the action figures, they get to sell all the other shit, all the posters. If there's comic book rights, they get to make money off the comic books. If they do it blows up into a movie franchise, they get all the money from that. Like they look at it from that perspective. They're a company that wants to own the bottom of the pyramid that everyone else is dependent on, right? And so I think that's the mindset they're always in. They're not interested in being the people on the top of the pyramid. They want to be the base that everyone relies on. So, that's the reason why Microsoft's the 800-pound gorilla in the room, right? Like they're just they're just just
but
they're nasty.
They would. Well, they're not playing any games, and the one thing that people will still say is that they still need more Japanese.
I still think it's coming.
Content. I think that's why I say like it might be too, because I still think WB is in the works. Well, not in the works, but is on their minds. I think if they felt that they got WB and then maybe got a Japanese studio or just built onto one of the studios that they already have and make their own Japanese studio, or let's just say Asian studio, then I think that they would be solid. But I don't think that there's too many more after this. I think
the thing I want, if they were going to purchase anything, and I had a wish list, purchase Epic. Owning Epic would be huge, because then they would own their own storefront through the PC world outside of Xbox Live.
Right.
And then they can leverage more deals with Steam, vice versa, that sort of thing, with those situations. And then you have the fact that engine, we thought,
and you got Fortnite.
Fortnite makes a lot of money, but nothing compared to the engine. Nothing compared to that engine.
Oh no,
owning that, like people thought, like a lot of people built on Unreal the last couple generations. It's you don't even there's a wave coming from that engine, and it's going to be big, and it'll start sometime later this year, and it will pick up steam huge the following year. Huge. So
well, yeah, no, I mean Epic would be massive. The coalition is kind of like Turn 10 when it comes to working on that engine. Like Turn 10 just knows how to work with Xbox architecture like no other. Kind of like how Naughty Dog knows how to work with the PlayStation Decima engine. I think that's what you call that, their engine.
Oh, you're talking about the one for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah. Well, Naughty Dog does. I mean, The Last of Us 2 was an amazing.
I don't think that was the Decima engine. It was used on that.
It wasn't?
No.
Well, what engine did they use with that?
Regardless, I don't really know, but Decima, as far as I remember, that was the one that was done for the Kojima game and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, okay. Well, Horizon. Well, yeah. Okay, then they know it, because I mean, this new Horizon Forbidden West looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah. And even if Naughty Dog uses a different engine, that you can't say they haven't done well with that either. They've done really good. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, no, that's what I'm just saying. Like, I mean, yeah, Coalition just knows how to work with that Epic engine like no other. Yeah, that would be massive. I know we've talked about this before, and we had this just about maybe 4 or 5 months
Yeah,
ago,
like the
where we were like,
the
yeah,
Marvel What If
like,
series, like
yeah, like
yeah. So
what Xbox going to do now? And then look, they got Activision. Like I
I
don't know.
didn't
From a
see
standpoint of
Activision
seeing
happening, man.
oh, okay, that's what I was going to ask
Yeah,
you. Yeah, no, me either.
I never saw like
Not even close.
because people like even if people said the rumors, like my initial reaction is bullshit, like because there's a lot of baggage that comes along with it, right? Like that's
Right,
a harsh
right.
reality, and hopefully they get cleared out of the year, and then Bobby can be the fall guy, and then go live on some island and drink from coconuts and all that shit. But yeah, like it's gonna be interesting, and there's gonna be a big mix up over there, in the next year or so. So
All right, so last one. What do you think about Mikey Barra and Rod Ferguson? You think they come back home, back to The Godfather, or do you think that
they'll
maybe
leave for
one of them
another
might leave?
studio.
Yeah, like look, man, I left for a reason. So, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It depends if they have buyer's remorse coming over there. If they have the buyer's remorse coming over there, right? Which sometimes you leave for greener pastures. Like, oh, this ain't as green as I thought it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe get paid more, but say like it's a worse environment from them as a management standpoint. Then I can see them. Going, hey, you know what? It wasn't too bad over there. I'm okay with coming back over, right? They don't take me as people that have had bad relationships. I think Mikey was just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I think that wears on people. He's been at Microsoft for a long time, and this was an opportunity for him to grow and become bigger. And he really loves. I know he loves the Blizzard properties quite a bit. So it really is. Mikey just has the opportunity to work with a property he really, really enjoys. So I see Mikey staying there. I don't know as much about Rod. I feel like Rod.
I know you're a big fan of Rod.
I am a big fan of Rod. He's one of those people I would love to pick his brain for about an hour, just because obviously I'm in the position where I'm at, and I have to develop my own products, and just seeing how he manages. Like you put him in a place where games are in trouble, right? And he just makes things happen and brings the magic out of developers. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
He deals with all the chaos, gets rid of the chaos, and he just makes shit happen. And so I would love to. You put Rod on Halo Infinite, I think Halo Infinite would have become a better game, to be honest with you. Like all that more natural talent within 343 would have made it to the final product, right? And so he's just that type of talent. So I think he really thrives in that sort of challenge. Does that make sense? Where it's an IP that he loves, and he loves the challenge of bringing the most talented people together. That's the only way I can read Rod in regards to that. But Rod's getting up there in age though too. Like I wouldn't be surprised he's planning on hanging his hat up a little bit.
Well, I think at the end of the day, most of them are getting ready to hang their hat. I think once this generation is over, I think Phil said he's gonna pass the baton. To who? You never know. I mean, if Mikey Barr is still on board, he could pass it to Mike. He could pass it to Sarah Bond.
I feel like Mike's got some more time in the tank, but
yeah, but Rod,
and this is not a knock on Rod. I mean, if he wants to work until he's in the grave, that's his business. But I just know he's worked in the industry for a long time prior to his stuff he's known working with Epic and stuff like that. So yeah, I just don't see him putting that much more additional time going forward. I think he's in a good retirement spot, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah. Aaron Greenberg, all of them. I think that they'll be at the point where Xbox is in the best place that it's ever been. I mean, it's already in that position now.
Yeah, you're right. Aaron Greenberg's been around for a long time too. Like,
right,
I know he loves his job, but
yeah,
he can also love watching his job. He used to be his job.
Watching his job, like, oh, I remember when I did that shit. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna play some of this Xbox and go kick it. But,
yeah, he's gonna play Xbox on beachfront property, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, on some some nice resort. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So, but no, I think that I think that the direction where Xbox is going right now is in such. I mean, it's so different than what it was last gen, and then now you just I mean, and this is going to be a longer generation for sure, in my opinion. There's like I would think that they could all look at it and just kind of be like Michael Jordan and just, what I'm saying, look, I'm good. Or Tim Duncan, you know what I'm saying? I got my rings. I'm good. I'm out. I did everything that I could do. They said I couldn't do this, and I did it. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm out.
So you're saying
So,
you're at this point where you look back at your life, it's like, what else can I do? Oh, I've done
what
it
else
all.
can I do?
I've done it
Done
all.
it all. Done it all.
Yeah.
Done it all. So
Yeah.
so I could
It'd be
definitely see
interesting.
that. But it will be interesting. But I think at that point though, if Rod and Mike stays, then the future is not is even brighter because of the fact of not only the staff that Xbox has added on to them, because their marketing teams is top notch now.
I think that
And
marketing
then
team has
just
always been top notch. It just never had a budget to play with, right?
you could be right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
could be
feel
right.
like as soon as
You're
this
right.
generation released, or as soon as they did like that Game Awards thing with the Xbox Series X, at that point,
That was it.
At that
Yeah.
point, it seems like they unleashed the shackles on their marketing department. You're like,
Oh yeah.
remember when I said you couldn't spend money? Here's your
Yeah.
expense account, right?
Oof.
And make these things and they probably looked at it like, okay, we can put this much money in like social media. We're gonna do this, and a lot of that time last generation Xbox spent building up their social media. Like that was their main goal, and people were kind of like, but a lot more people learn about products through social media than any other outlet. Like I don't know if last person I talked to somebody actually watched actual cable television outside of like a football game. Like I don't know of a single person this year or last year.
Oh yeah, no, I have. I mean, my wife sees it all.
But I'm just saying, outside of football, like or sports titles,
sports basketball,
outside of that, I don't know of anything that So like, it's not the area where obviously it has an impact, but it doesn't have the same impact that it once was.
Sports is still important, and like big events, like like let's just say like a New Year's Eve airing, or like and another show like Cartoon Network is always great. Late night Cartoon Network is always great. Now, like if man, it's great because like when I'm sitting here and I watch.
No, I didn't think about it, but I don't disagree with you on that. I think you're spot on.
Because you're watching a lot of man children, and then also, like Saturday night Toonami. Yeah. Oh, bro,
are you trying to say that they market towards basement dwellers? Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely.
Somebody with a nice basement tan. Is that what you're saying?
Right. You got Rick and Morty over here, and then you showing some Xbox commercials because you know what I'm saying, it's fantastic. So yeah, the Cartoon Network. Or Adult Swim, whatever you want to do, say that, and sporting events is absolutely huge. And then there's one last thing that I think Xbox should also do, because I think PlayStation does a fantastic job with this. It's kind of like pay to have some kind of bowl game or something, because like during college football, it sounds so weird, but you hear it. The PlayStation Bowl or something like that. Like you're like, what? But there you go. And then you see all this PlayStation stuff all around. And then they get PlayStation swag and all this other stuff. So if Xbox get into the fray and let's say like want to do something for March Madness. And then or jump in and do something
so you're saying like at a grassroots level where it kind of expands out from there, sort of thing, and it creates this crazy goodwill, and it makes like an Xbox a household name like Nike, sort of thing, even the people that don't game. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like saying like I said, college football. Like PlayStation got a football bowl. Or like if you on ESPN and you say, "Oh man, this was sponsored by PlayStation," drop that shit so you could so you say, "Look, this is sponsored by Xbox," or have an Xbox Bowl, or do something in March. Like I said, March Madness, which is crazy watch at that time.
No, it's the only time I ever it's the only time I ever watch any basketball is March Madness.
Yeah,
like I'm always doing like March Madness parties with friends and stuff like that, and like I don't really know.
You can never go wrong with sports.
You know I don't know shit about basketball, right? Right, but I understand who's winning, right?
Yeah,
and there's an energy that comes along with those sort of big events too. Like it's hard to put like a tangible number on it, but it is a huge shared experience where everyone puts away their differences, right? And they're just excited to be there. If that makes any sense, even if their team's losing.
Oh yeah,
right. Like they're still
some people.
Some people, yeah. I mean, there's some people I stay a little more further away than others, but when things are going wrong. But there's a huge thing where everyone kind of comes together and having a good time. They're rooting, and so you throw some Xbox in there, just becomes part of the conversation, right? I got you. I don't think that's a bad idea. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. So.
Yeah, no, I would just like to see that. But all right, man. Good one. I mean, there's nothing else. I mean, if there's something that you wanted to add or wanted to discuss before we get out of here, man, let us know. But so far, I think that we kind of touched on our thoughts tonight. I mean, this deal was out of the blue, and this Devin the Gamer was kind of like out of the blue. But hey, I enjoyed it, man. It's always good to talk games. So
yeah, for sure.
What do you think? Did you have anything else you want to add, or is that it?
Oh, we're taking a break next week.
Okay. So next week.
Next week we're taking a break because unless Phil like opens up his wallet again and starts buying studios, we're gonna take it's every other week for us. That's the main goal. This was just like you have to talk about it when it's relevant, sort of situation, right? But yeah, definitely thanks for joining us, Twitch, YouTube. This will be on K-Mega's channel first thing tomorrow. I'm going to be sending them the video as soon as we're off here. So usually that's, the post show, the best place to be is K-Mega 405's channel, right? And, forgive him for his love for the Rams. And
Go Rams. My Thunder is not. They're playing hard, but they're not.
Hey man, you can't have everything. You can't have everything, man. But
I want it all.
Yeah, but that being said, yeah, definitely for sure.
Does.
Definitely check us out on K-Mega 405's YouTube channel, my YouTube channels. I have both a streaming channel and a traditional content channel. There's a video dropping tomorrow, so I'm working on that after this podcast. And thanks for just interacting. We always want to involve you guys. That's why you guys are in the chat, all that sort of stuff. And then I'm going to try to get the communication on YouTube going, so we'll have a YouTube chat, whatever you prefer viewing on YouTube or Twitch. And we also do Spotify. What was the other streaming services we do?
Yeah, it's Podbean. I had to let that kind of, after I had the surgery, I had to kind of shut that down, but I'm going to get that going back here very shortly. So give me back until February, and we'll be going back, because I still keep the videos, so we'll just pump those back on so you guys can come and hear us again through Spotify. And it was Spotify. I still need to try to get the iTunes thing going. So after
you also have some Facebook shit going on too, right?
Yes, I do have a Facebook channel. It is K-Mega GRG. I believe that's what it is. Hold on, let me look. I get old and forget stuff.
Yeah, will there be links down below on the video when we post it on your YouTube channel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's do that. Make sure we have links there. We're good to go.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's K-Mega GRG. So you can come in there. Just hop in if you want to talk about stuff, want to post stuff yourself. Go right ahead and do that. It's open to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So just go ahead and do that. Also, you can check me out on my channel, K-Mega 405. I do most of my damage out there on Twitter. I'm starting to do a little more TikTok stuff and Instagram, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get out there and force feed the public with a lot of K-Mega, if that sounded appropriate. I don't know, but it's never appropriate with you. So man, but yeah, no, we're good. We're out. Thank you so much for checking us out, man, and we'll see you guys here the week after next.
Yeah.
Somebody does something else.
Watch our Twitter. We'll have that up.
Peace.
Later.